Hey, welcome everyone to our first official devlog for Lucid Studios. My name is Rashay and I'm excited to show you a bit of our journey so far into starting our own independent game studio. We don't have a current release date or release plan for our devlogs, but this one will be a bit longer, but in the future the upcoming ones will be a little bit shorter as we get better with these devlogs. Right now we're looking for a release window of at least once a month for our devlogs, and that might come and increase or decrease down the time as we progress with the development of this game. Now, our game is actually a platformer, and currently the working title that we have for it is Station 89. This is subject to change during the process of our development, but we'll see how things go and if we maybe like to give it a different name or not. It's not essentially supposed to stick, it's more of a concept kind of idea behind how we're progressing forward with the game. A little bit about myself: I come from a background as an engineering design technologist. I went into this field mostly just because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and it was kind of a field that I was somewhat familiar in just because of some childhood experiences in my life. However, throughout my life I had experienced multitudes of fantastical storytelling through a video game medium, and just last year I kind of thought to myself, well, why don't I try and do something like that? Why don't I try and create something like that? A lot of my inspiration actually comes from heavy story-driven titles like The Witcher 3, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Little Nightmares, Inside. Right now, an example of a game that's really pulling me into its world and story is a tiny little game known as Elden Ring! Sorry about that. I don't know what came over me. Now, for me to get to where I wanted to get to, I needed to kind of start some kind of team, and I know a lot of indie developers essentially start off by themselves, and honestly that was an option that I considered, but I never really felt comfortable with doing this on my own. I work better in a team environment, so I managed to convince essentially my brother Ricardo, who you'll see later in the video, to join me on this kind of like journey. I also managed to convince my partner Delina to join me on this journey into building something that will last a long time and that will be indicative of our vision of what storytelling could be in this medium. Now, it's known that most developers wear many hats. This is a very common expressional trait that's used among indie developers, but in terms of building a three-person team, it just made sense that we could divide our roles separately into three major platforms when it comes to building any kind of entertainment medium. There's a design aspect, which I'm heading. There is the programming aspect, which is what Ricardo is heading, and then the music and comp aspect, which is Delina's. Now onto some kind of programs and tools that I'll be using. Now, we've all heard of what's happening in the Unreal Engine community. Unreal Engine 5 just released about a week ago as of this recording. So you'll see a lot of development being done in Unreal Engine 4, but please be assured that we are actually going to migrate everything over to 5. It made sense for us to move into Unreal Engine just because of the scope and size of the game that we're trying to create. Another program that I'll be using heavily at the moment is Blender. It's a free program and I can do almost anything in it. I can do my modeling, my sculpting, my animations, everything all in one workflow. So let's talk about what to do when you're starting a game, right? To us, it only made sense that we would first start a script and writing a narrative for it. In the early stages of our development, Delina and I went and we sat down in a cafe, and we did this, I think, for around a month of just writing a script and going back and forth between ideas and what we wanted to accomplish. I don't want to reveal too much as to what the script is about. Perhaps down the line in later devlogs, or I'll commit an entire log just for myself on explaining kind of the synopsis of our narrative as what we wanted to look like. Afterwards, I moved on to a whiteboard and as ridiculous as it sounds, this was an easy way for me to at least visualize how I wanted the first part of the first level just to be structured out. So I just went and I doodled as much as I could until the vision kind of came into my mind. And then once I was done with that, I was able to move into UE4 and basically just start creating a concept level design. Now, the idea behind concept levels is that you're not supposed to be going into too much detail. You're just creating basically squares, triangles, rectangles, and you're just laying out the level as it is in your mind without any form of detail whatsoever. So I started with the train yard, as this is where our character will be starting off in. And to give you a bit of an idea of the world that we're creating, the main character is essentially supposed to start off in this world where it's just devoid and void of life, right? Now I will reveal there is maybe one extra thing living on the planet with her, but again, I don't want to reveal too much because that would dive way too much into the narrative and maybe spoil a thing or two. We're still trying to figure out how we want to reveal a lot of these story beats to you guys. Now the art style that I'm going for is a bit more of a stylized style, and this is difficult because when I was in my engineering industry, everything I modeled in programs like Inventor or Civil 3D was all realistic design models. And here I'm going from that into more stylized modeling. So essentially I'm trying to teach myself a whole new art style, and you guys get to be on the journey with me for that. Now that's really all I wanted to show you today. Just wanted to give you a brief snippet, an introduction into the studio and our vision and essentially what we've been working on so far. Each devlog video is gonna have separate parts where I will be sharing some things on my end, Ricardo will be sharing his, and Delina will be sharing hers. And we wanted to break it down like this so people can have an idea of who's doing what. And essentially, if you just want to look at the programming side of things, you can just skip my part, which, I mean, I'll be a little offended, but it's okay. But you can skip my part and then just go straight to Ricardo. Or if you want to watch Delina and just skip Ricardo and I, that's totally okay. We'll only be slightly offended. And then you can watch her perform everything that she does for music comp in terms of game design. So with that being said, I'm excited for you to be passed along to Ricardo. And then after that, we'll show you Delina. And yeah, that'll be our first devlog. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had fun. And leave us some comments on what you'd like to see down the line. This is very much experimental for us, and we're still trying to figure out essentially what this is going to look like. And it's going to be changing quite a lot throughout the development process of our game. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, do all that fun stuff. You've heard the spiel over and over again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.
Okay, let's get started. I was told specifically clean my room. Hey, wait. I need script. I'm not even fucking kidding. There's a script right there. Okay. Hi, I'm Ricardo. I'm the lead developer of Lucid and also mistakenly the technical lead. And kind of in this little clip, I'm gonna be sharing like the past 5 years of my life, hopefully in 5 minutes, very condensed. I can kind of start with like some past experience. I am a computer scientist. I went to university for 4 years. Throughout those years, I've done multiple game development courses. I've been a product manager for most of those courses. My very first game was a fun little project, a little top-down physics shooter. Throughout that year, I also worked on a XR project where I wanted to develop a solar system in real space. Also integrated a flying system where you can fly the Millennium Falcon around, so that was pretty cool. One of the bigger projects I took a part of, I was a project lead for 11-man team, and we developed a asynchronous multiplayer game where you play as mechs, and it's essentially like a card-based tactical turn-based game where your turns are 24 hours long. You know, you can make a play anytime within there and notify the other players when those turns are ready. It was super cool. Jumped into a lot of like card mechanic stuff for myself and VFX, and the rest of the team did an amazing job at the whole game. Like, we were so super proud of that. It was amazing. After that, I moved on and dabbled in a little bit of research. I took an introduction to research course, and we were playing with like facial emotions and like capturing that and displaying it to your teammates. So imagine like something like Discord, and you would see the mood of your teammates like present via emoticons. But then that later developed to an actual research project for the university. We called it Common Sense, and my name is actually in the paper, which is a good time. We created a system where the audience can influence a streamer's game using their heart rates. But yeah, the result was just this cool experience of streamers connecting with their audience, and we loved that so much. And then finally graduated, took all my Unity experience out to the real world, which is a big mistake for the real world. Ended up teaming up with a really cool company. We made tools to organize and manage virtual spaces, and it was amazing, like capturing real-time images and converting it over to point clouds, and then using that data to create meshes, and the world was your oyster. Like, honestly, oh, that was an amazing experience. I never knew how important linear algebra was until I had to use it so much. I should have paid more attention in school. Pay attention in school. And all that I just mentioned was all done in Unity. I've taken some years to really put my expertise in such a great engine. Yeah, so you're telling me we're not using Unity? Yeah, I know how to use Unreal Engine 5. Yeah. Unity. So all of this was done in Unreal Engine. Okay, for real, I haven't ever dabbled in Unreal Engine, but like, how hard could it be? So the first choice has to be between coding and visual scripting. And if I learned one thing in university, it is to stay away from any programming language with a C, including C++. So we are gonna try this thing called visual scripting. Let's see how that goes.
Phases, and this
Also,
will
good
show
will learn.
all the
So,
interface
yeah,
functions
let's
that
start.
we have available.
And
it is
also,
good that
if you already
this
check out
evaluates.
our
So with Unreal Engine, how sure are you? Like, yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, okay, let's do it. Okay, so how do we start? So the first step is we're gonna do a shit ton of research into Unreal Engine. I mean boot camps, I mean crash courses, I mean books, I mean YouTube tutorials. We're gonna do a shit ton of YouTube tutorials, everything from hopefully a 20-minute clip can do it. In any case, we're gonna then like just design the shit out of this game. We need to figure out the player mechanics, the scope, and then we're gonna do some prototypes, some cool proof of concepts. We may even cry a little bit.
You how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
But at the end of the day, I promise you, we're gonna have an amazing game, a great story to tell, and we're looking so forward to doing some really cool stuff. But until next time, cheers guys. Hey buddy, yeah, I'm gonna need a raise.
Hello! Welcome to our very first devlog as Lucid Rain Studios. My name is Delina. We're super excited about our title that we're working on, and I'm gonna kind of go through what my role in the whole project is. My role in this project is that of composer and sound designer and social media manager and writer. There's a bunch of other things that I do behind the scenes, but those aren't that fun, so I won't talk about them here. I am a musician. I am a vocalist. I play piano. I went to university for music, and I was mainly there as a performance major, but I was able to take a bunch of classes around arranging and composing and film and game scoring, and I am just obsessed with that whole process, and I'm the hugest nerd about music stuff, and so I'm so excited to be able to use what I know and what I'm good at to create something for this game. And as for the sound design portion, I'm kind of teaching myself. I'm in the process of learning. I am obsessed with how that whole process works, fully creating sounds from random things that you wouldn't even think could become different sounds, and just basically creating cool beautiful things from weird, strange things and just making it all work together. And it's a really cool process and I love it. So it's very much experimental for me right now. I'm trying things. I'm running around my house, making random sounds and recording and seeing what I can come up with. And so the goal of this game is that we want everything to be really authentic to us. And that's why I wanted to put the time into creating my own sounds and trying new things and really trying to embody the characters to be a bit more authentic to them as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to. So equipment wise, I am primarily using Logic Pro to do all my work. I compose in there, I'm designing sounds in there, and it's what I have right now, and so that's what I'm using. I'm using a few different sound libraries to compose and create my music. I really love adding different types of textures that I think an environment would already have in it and adding that in to a score that I'm writing. I think it just adds another layer of depth and complexity and interest as well. So I'm finding it fascinating to play around with that and working off the other game devs and their ideas and kind of making something cohesive. For me, it's really cool being able to work off of the guys and seeing what they're coming up with and what the ideas that are in their heads and being able to transfer some of that into a sound and into frequency. I'm getting to see our first world in our game being built, and I'm playing off of that and the environment and the lighting and all that stuff. So it's really, really cool. I'm having a great time with all of this. So to create my music, I'm literally just using a MIDI keyboard and Logic. I've got kind of just the bare bones setup going here, and it's working for me so far. So you don't really need much to get started with something like this. I have done a lot of studying and researching and read a lot of books and referenced back to a lot of books regarding composing and arranging. So there definitely is a lot that has gone into this beforehand. Besides using Logic and the digital libraries that I have, I use just random things around, record random sounds to add, and then I also use my own voice. As a vocalist, I find that I have the most control over it, and I know how it works really well, and so I'm able to kind of manipulate it in different ways depending on what I want. One of our characters calls for monster sounds, so I've been able to use my voice to do those, which is really fun. And so other things I've been using to create different sound effects, depending on what we need, are things like recording actual drips or rocks thrown on the ground or footsteps on different surfaces, breathing, those noises you make when you have to push something heavy or jump, stuff like that. So there's lots of things to think about when you're designing sounds for an environment, let alone a character. And so I'm kind of trying to use what I have around me and what I have access to create those sounds. So we are using Unreal Engine to design our game. Unreal Engine is a fantastic platform. It's got so many insane features. I can take the sounds that I make and assign them to places where they need to be, to specific locations in the game world, to the characters. That's something that I am very new to, and so we'll see how that goes. I will keep you guys updated on what my process is. But that's the thing that I'm most uncertain about is learning that new program, and that's something I've never done before at all, ever. So stick around and you'll see what that kind of process is. Anyways, thanks for watching. We will be posting devlogs every month, hopefully. Maybe more often than that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we would love to have you along for the ride. We're super excited for this project and for the whole community that we get to be a part of now because of this. And yeah, we're just super excited. So stick around if you want to. We would love it if you do. Stay tuned for the next video. Hey, no. Follow us on our social media platforms, and thanks for watching.